We'll be fine. I think we gave away two games so far this year: the Salt Lake game and the Red Bull game. Games where, at the very least, we walk off the field with a point. So, I think they're good lessons to be learned. Obviously, we were maybe a little bit unlucky in the last game, but it's all part of it. It's a long season. These seasons go every which way. Very rarely do you have identical seasons back to back. So we're facing a little adversity to start the season, but that's not the worst. I'd rather have it happen now than later.
Welcome to Trifecta Soccer Talk. I'm your host, Tanner Rebello. You just heard from Revolution sporting director and head coach Bruce Arena on how his team is facing the adversity so far that they faced this season. Obviously, the Revolution are 1-3-1 in Major League Soccer play through 5 weeks, and they fell out of CONCACAF Champions League. They won their home leg, and then they got absolutely demolished down there in Mexico. So, seems like no one's really worried there over in Revolution camp. Certainly not Bruce Arena, and certainly not the players. We've heard it from Sebastian Lletget a few times, and I think we might hear a clip from him later in the show where he says, it's being at a 6 or a 7 can never get too high, can never get too low. It's a long season in Major League Soccer. It's 34 games. It's very early. But so far this season, the Revolution have just been impacted by everything, whether it be weather, whether it be injuries, whether it be just not getting that final result, not seeing out a result, not winning at home. So there's a lot of things that have sort of gone wrong here for the New England Revolution this season. And they're going against a Miami team on Saturday on ESPN on national television that is winless so far this year. Miami, believe it or not, has had a worse start to the season than the New England Revolution. Miami's winless. The only winless team in the Eastern Conference and one of two winless teams in Major League Soccer, with the San Jose Earthquakes being the other one. So, this match in Inter Miami is going to be an interesting one between two teams that are, quite frankly, struggling. Not just struggling to get results, struggling to score the goal. They can't score, either of these teams. If you look at it, between Miami and the Revolution, they cannot put the ball in the back of that net. The Revolution have gone 208 minutes in MLS play without scoring a goal from the run of play. That was a 62nd minute goal from Jose Altidore against Real Salt Lake. They've had some set piece goals and penalty kick goal, but they haven't been able to score. And since that time frame, and during that time frame, since that goal that Jose Altidore scored, they have only scored one goal. It was a penalty kick goal scored by Carlos Gil, and they have a -9 goal differential in that time frame, which is pretty startling. But if you look at this Miami team, this is a Miami team that can't score either. It's kind of a funny situation here, but this Miami team has conceded 13 goals. They've only scored 3. They have a -10 goal differential, which is the worst in Major League Soccer. Not by a goal. They have the worst goal differential in Major League Soccer by 4 goals, and it's only 5 weeks in the season. So this is a disaster of a Miami team. 2 of their goals were penalty kick goals by Gonzalo Higuain, and they had only 1 goal this year in the run of play. So this is a bad Miami team, and they're paying for the price for mismanaging their roster last year, having 5 or 6 DPs. So this is a Miami team that really doesn't know how to operate in Major League Soccer. They have a coach in Phil Neville that probably should have been fired if he wasn't, friendly with the owner, David Beckham. So this is a real train wreck of an organization in Miami. Not shocking to learn that a Miami organization for sports is poorly run. Obviously making a joke of Miami Marlins, the baseball team, with baseball getting underway. But this Inter Miami team is a disaster. They have shown no, real intelligence when it comes to operating a Major League Soccer club. They're not competitive on the field. And yeah, they have Gonzalo Higuain, who's a really big name, but in reality, it looks like he's retiring. Not that he's actually retiring, but it looks like he is taking Major League Soccer like it's a retirement league, which it's not anymore. So on paper, you might say, okay, Revolution are bad. Miami's bad. Even matchup. But if that's how far the Revolution have fallen after winning the Supporters' Shield last year, that's certainly problematic, and I don't think the Revolution are thinking it's going to be a close matchup. I think, they're going to try to fight. They're going to try to go out, but in reality, they need to go down there and need to smoke Miami. Last year, they beat them 5-0 at Inter Miami, so there's the potential here for them to really go down there and smoke them out. This Miami team is bad, and yes, this Revolution team is still banged up. Yes, they still are going to be without key players. Obviously, Adam Books is going to have a one-game red card suspension, so he's not going to be available Jose Altidore is banged up, not in the injury report, but got banged up in that match against the New York Red Bulls. Gustavo Bo's not going to play. You're not going to have Matt Turner. Henry Castro and Andrew Farrell are both on the injury report, but they played last week. But you're not going to go into this match fully healthy, so it's going to be a struggle. But it'll be interesting to see how Inter Miami handles Revolution midfielder Carlos Gil. Carlos Gil has sort of been targeted this year by opposing players, and there really hasn't been any real management by the officials in terms of protecting Carlos Gil. So here's Carlos Gil when asked by Sam Inna the Bent Musket on if referees should do more to protect players like him, who's the reigning MVP of Major League Soccer.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe protect player, but also try to stop sometimes, or not stop, but sometimes the yellow card. If you use the yellow card, is better for some time stop that kind of tackles or every time doing falls and stop the game, So yeah, but this is the ref who decide, and yeah, I'm trying to help the team. Sometimes I receive some tackles, not only me. And yeah, I think the ref can help we can play like without so many stops.
I think Carlos is right. I think a lot of leagues protect their star players. You see it in the NBA where the star players get the foul call. You see it in the NFL where the quarterbacks have rules to protect them. This is not uncommon in sports for there to be favoritism towards the better players. You see the way they play Carlos Gil is the same way they play Carlos Vela. They're incredibly physical with these players. They're fouling for literally no reason, just because they're on the ball. And it's really dirty fouls. And I think, the way to solve it is just start hitting out yellow cards. You touch an MVP caliber player in a way that isn't proper, poor foul, poor challenge, bad challenge, things like that, you're looking at an immediate card, not even a warning. I think that's what you have to really do. Carlos Gil gets fouled a significant amount of times per game, and oftentimes it's not even carded. It's just a talking to, and players do it 3-4 times a game. And these teams are really smart in how they approach it. They're going to knock Carlos Gil down, and they're going to try to slow him down, and they're going to try to protect players like Carlos Gil, like Carlos Vela, that caliber of players that are MVP type. Yeah, they should be protected because fans play to see them, not the guy that's having a hard foul on them. That's just the reality, right? MVPs sell tickets. It's normal in sports, especially in the United States. There could be an opportunity here in this game coming up for young players to play, especially when you look at that forward group. You're going to be without Adam Buxa. You're going to be without Gustavo Bo. Potentially going to be without Jose Altidore. So you're looking at Justin Rennicks potentially getting another start. We're going to hear from Carlos Gil on Justin Rennicks getting back in the club.
Yes, I think it's an important moment for him. He's learning year by year, and yeah, I think he's prepared for play games, for half minute with the first team in MLS.
Another player I'm looking for is Damian Rivera. Rivera scored 3 times through 2 games with Revs 2 in MLS Next Pro. He's played very well. For them, he looks better on and off the ball. His finishing touch looks great. I'm really impressed with what I've seen at Damian Rivera so far this year. Obviously, we heard from Clint P.A. in the last episode where he talked about the progression of Damian Rivera through his time through Revs 2. I think it's time to give Damian Rivera a shot. And I know I've said it on this show already. I've said it in previous episodes where you have to play the kids. Otherwise, what's the point? I think with Damian Rivera, it's at the point where it's like, well, the Revs 2 are not playing this weekend. So you don't need to really play him there because there's no game to play in. So why not have Damian Rivera in the squad? Why not give him an opportunity against Inter Miami when you're down your key forwards and give a player that is hot a chance to play against a really bad Inter Miami backline outside of DeAndre Yedlin. I like Yedlin. But for the most part, there's a team that concedes goals left and right. You have a confident player in Rivera. Play him with Rennicks, who he has a lot of chemistry with. He's played a lot of matches alongside. They know how to flow within each other up top. and have the service be better with Carlos Gil, Sebastian Lletget, get better service from your outside backs with Brandon Bai and DeJuan Jones, and score goals, right? That's what this is about. And if you're looking for goals, why don't you put one of your players that has 3 goals in 2 matches, albeit at a different level. Obviously, it's not Major League Soccer, but honestly, I don't know. Inter Miami's backline's any better than MLS X Pro. Kind of being serious with that too. 10 goals minus differential through 5 games. It's really bad. This is probably an opportunity to play Damian Rivera. Probably one of the only opportunities you're going to have for a while to play him, just based on availability. You're going to expect that Mooks is going to come back. Was the Altidore, we don't really know his status for this game, but you expect he's going to come back relatively soon. Gustavo Bo going to be out for another week or 2, according to Bruce Arena 95 The Sports Hub. If you look at the injury report, Bo is questionable. So last week, prior to the New York Red Bulls game, I called it a must-win. A must-win as far as a game at that point in the year can be. And to be honest, I don't know how you can look at this Miami game and not call it that as well. They're 1-3-1 through 5 games. That ties 2019 as the worst starting record through 5 matches in the last 5 years. That's not good, right? They've lost 3 matches for the first time consecutively in Major League Soccer play since March of 2019. That team in 2019, in the early months of that season, was one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer history. And this Revolution team in 2022 is drawing similarities through 5 games to that team. Now, it's not the same thing, right? This is obviously a different team. It's a different coach. It's a different roster, right? They just came off a Supporter Shield winning season. But do you really want to lose another game or get a draw? The conversations will just continue to go higher and higher and higher in terms of what's the future of this team? What are they supposed to be this year? You came into this year thinking goals to lift trophies. Well, last year they bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. This year, CONCACAF Champions League, first chance to win a trophy this year. They get eliminated after having a lead going down to Mexico. And, they're 1-3-1 in MLS play through 5 matches. So, you got to get 3 points here in Miami. And the reality is this Revolution team has to start winning games. Consistently winning games. But how about just get a second win? I mean, this team does not look good. I thought they looked better against New York than they had in previous weeks. I think a big part of that was getting Farrell and Kessler back to make that back line more organized. I thought Brad Knighton had a good game against New York. But I think they really need to get their outside backs back involved in that attack. I think they need better service into the box. If you look at that New York game, the best person providing service for most of the night in terms of chances was Emma Boateng. So you just need more out of everybody. You need more out of Sebastian Lletget. You need more out of Carlos Gil. I don't know if that's possible, but you need more out of him. You definitely need more out of your outside backs. The result matters above all else, right? So the Revolution have to win. That's the bottom line here. One thing that occurred this week that's outside of the game is the Revolution acquired a goalkeeper, Djordje Petrovic, coming over from Serbia. As an experienced player, has 86 games, 33 clean sheets. That's a great number, great ratio. 22 years old, a lot of experience. Here's Revolution Sporting Director and Coach Bruce Arena when asked about him.
Well, he's a young goalkeeper, very athletic, looks to be a very good shot blocker, pretty composed in the goal, and we'll learn more about the player once he gets here.
Interesting for the Revolution to make this move. Obviously, Matt Turner departs for Arsenal this summer. Turner's injured right now, so they don't even have availability to the best American goalkeeper. But, you looked at the Revolution, and, they drafted Jacob Jackson in the first round. They had Brad Knighton, Earl Edwards Jr. on the roster. And you thought, potentially you'd have Edwards and Knighton as these veteran options, and then bring Jackson along at MLS Next Pro. Then maybe give Jackson the opportunity if he plays well. Maybe Major League Soccer this year, or, next year. But I think the Revolution, saw the opportunity to bring in a 22-year-old player who has, 86 appearances, I think he played in the Europa League. He played for his national team. You know, this is a young player with a lot of experience, and I think they saw that opportunity, and it was just too tantalizing not to do it. But what's funny is actually this is the first international signing or acquisition the Revolution have done for the first team since March of 2021 when they brought in Arnold Traustason. So it's been a while since Bruce has brought in an international acquisition, which is kind of surprising. But then you sort of look at the performances so far this year, and you're like, well, he didn't take any chances. He didn't bring in any upside players. He brought in, you know, veteran MLS players where you know what they are. So maybe the start to the year isn't too much of a shock, actually. But it's interesting to see that this is actually the first international move they've done in a while. They had the spot to do it. I think it's a smart move. The Revolution don't really go with non-American goalkeepers historically. I think it's been over 20 years since they actually had a non-American goalkeeper start a game for them. So it's different for them as an organization to bring in a player like this. But I think it's, you know, this is a player that can play now, right? He's a player you can bring in, can sort of bring along, develop under Matt Turner, play some games at MLS Next Pro. Then when Turner departs, theoretically, if he integrates well enough, Petrovic can start for the Revolution right when Turner leaves. While Jackson, 21 years old, he's looked really good in MLS Next Pro, 16 saves through 2 games. It's looked great, better than I thought he was going to look. You know, maybe probably can't really start this year. That'd probably be an unfair expectation to him. And at the very least, you're building Petrovic's value. And if Jackson at some point competes for the starting job, whether it be next year or the year after that, maybe you transfer one of the players out because Petrovic's under contract for 3 years plus another year on top of that on the back end. And Jackson's on a rookie deal too, so he's under contract for a couple of years. So you have 2 really good young goalkeepers for the Revolution system. You know, Jackson and Petrovic. You know, I'm really high on Jacob Jackson. I know it's only been 2 games through MLS Next Pro, but I'm incredibly high on him as a player. Shot-stopping ability, decision-making, positioning, things like that. He's looked really, really good. And Petrovic, obviously, haven't seen him play with the Revolution yet. Seen some highlights on YouTube. That's about it with him. But from all accounts, this is a really good player that is now with the Revolution. So I think it was a smart move. They were clearly looking at bringing in an acquisition for goalkeeper despite drafting Jackson. You know, they've been tied to Ethan Horvath, Dwayne St. Clair as well. This is just one of those players they're connected to. They're able to get the deal done. And ultimately, I think it's a very smart move for them to make, especially when Matt does depart, because you've seen how important that goalkeeper position is. But the most important position for the New England Revolution, apparently, health of their center backs in Andrew Farrell and Henry Kessler, as outlined by their absences. Where the Revolution conceded 3 goals in 3 consecutive games. Speaking of the goalkeeper position, Petrovic's obviously not going to be playing for the Revolution against Inter Miami. All signs are pointing towards Brad Knighton getting his 2nd start of the year after having a really good performance against the New York Red Bulls. Here is Brad Knighton on getting his 1st start of the season on Saturday.
Good. It was just nice to get another game. You know, I've been working to get back from my concussion and, you know, doing the stuff on a daily basis. And, you know, when your number's called, you got to step up and be ready. And you're just excited to get out there and be with the guys again. It was a great opportunity, and it just stinks that we couldn't cap it off with a shutout and a win at home.
One thing that's going to be important to keep an eye on, there's playing at 3 o'clock in Miami. You know, it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid. That's certainly going to be an impact on this game in terms of players staying hydrated and things like that. So here is Sebastian Lletget playing in Miami.
These are the weird games, the dangerous ones, you know, because I think that the table says something, but when you get to the game and you're like, oh man, this is, I guarantee we're going to play them, and we're going to say to ourselves, this is not a bad team, you know. And so we have to be focused. We got to approach it like we do any game. It's going to be tough. 3 o'clock in Miami. It's not going to be easy. The weather's going to be what it is. So we just got to play it smart. Do I think we're good enough to beat them? Absolutely. So we just got to go there with the right mindset.
This has been Trifecta Soccer Talk. I've been your host, Tanner Rebello. Follow me on Twitter at Tanner Rebello. Check out TrifectaNetworkSports.com for the very latest in New England Revolution news and analysis.